let's talk about the wealth transfer. Well, the Lord has been talking to me about the wealth transfer for some time now, and this is a season where there's going to be a wealth transfer. So there's going to be a transfer of wealth from the wicked to the righteous. And the Lord told me that the book of Exodus was not just a transfer of people from one place to the other, but it was a transfer of wealth from one people to the other. Now listen carefully. The book of Exodus mentions there's a portion where God gave favor in the eyes of the Egyptians to the people of Israel, and they asked whatever they wanted from them. They borrowed, end quote, whatever they wanted from them, and they left them left the place, the land of Egypt, very rich and wealthy. There was a wealth transfer at that point. And of course, there are several vehicles God can use depending on the day and age for wealth transfer. In that day and age, He asked them to ask the people of Egypt, and they gave to them willingly. But in this day and age, I believe there are several avenues through which there's going to be a wealth transfer. It could be through real estate, through the oil industry, through precious metals. But what I'm conversant with is cryptocurrencies. I know it's a major avenue, a major vehicle through which God is going to facilitate the wealth transfer to His people through cryptocurrencies. When you look at the scriptures, they left very wealthy the land of Egypt, and on their journey, when they got to the Red Sea, Pharaoh had a change of heart and decided to chase them down. Now listen, they were already living with wealth, but now Pharaoh was bringing even more wealth to them, because he was bringing his chariots, his army, the weapons of war, the golden chariots, everything. He was bringing much more wealth to them. And so whenever God is sending His people to war, He actually empowers them with wealth, because resources are needed to war. And you can tell that the people of Israel were going to drive out the wicked people who were occupying the land of Canaan, and so they were going to fight battles, and God sends them wealth. The first thing He gave them was wealth. When the Egyptians brought in with their weapons of war, their golden chariots and all that gold, there was a Red Sea moment, when the power of God, the miraculous, intervened, and that all the Egyptians and everything, their materials and their weapons and their golden chariots and everything was just washed ashore. Now the Bible doesn't categorically say that, but I can infer that based on, should I say, personal revelations. So, and in this day and age, God is sending us to war for the end time harvest of souls, and He's going to arm us with necessary resources, much more than we even need, much more abundantly, to bring in the harvest of souls for this end time. It's not only strengthening minds, strengthening spirits, it's also strengthening pockets. It's strengthening the right hand of people to be able to do valiantly for the Lord. Now, the Lord was telling me about cryptocurrencies. This was a long time ago, 2018. And for some reason, I made a bad decision without consulting the Lord. I traveled somewhere I wasn't supposed to travel. And by the time I came back, I spent months over there. By the time I came back, the program had shifted. For some reason, I forgot about the cryptocurrencies the Lord was talking to me about. And some of those cryptocurrencies, if I had acted upon them at that time, you can understand what I mean. It was, some of them were game changers. Now, God being merciful, He began to remind me, or He began to talk to me about cryptocurrencies again in 2020. Is it 2024? 2024, just last year. And there's going to be a world transfer when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Now, a lot of people in the world transfer community are actually do not know the difference. There's actually a difference between wealth transfer, wealth increase, or wealth expansion, or whatever you want to call it, and wealth transfer. So when you're holding your currencies, your cryptocurrencies, and they appreciate in price, there's an increase in wealth. That's wealth increase. That's no wealth transfer from the wicked to the righteous. Wealth transfer comes when you're able to take advantage of the depreciation in certain cryptocurrencies. So that when certain cryptocurrencies crash, you're able to take advantage of that crash. That is where wealth transfer comes from. That's exactly. So wealth transfer occurs at the bottom, at the Red Sea. That's where wealth transfer occurs. So you shouldn't confuse wealth transfer with increase in wealth So the Lord was talking to me about certain cryptocurrencies, and I'm going to mention one of them today, and that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to go to zero, based on what the Lord was telling me. It's going to go to zero at some point. Now, on a separate occasion, the Lord also told me that Bitcoin was going to go to 500k. Now, He gave me a timeline, but I'm not allowed to share the time. But it was going to go to 500k, and now that's to thinking whether it's going to go to zero before it goes to 500k, or it's going to go to 500k before it goes to zero and then goes back up. Because when it goes to zero, it's definitely going to go back up. It's going to go back up. And I concluded that it's actually going to go to over 500k before it hits zero. It goes all the way down to zero before it bounces back up. And wealth transfer, that's an opportunity for wealth transfer. So if you have, that's an opportunity to set low buy limit orders, so they can take advantage of that dip. So that's what I have to share with you guys. I'll bring you more updates as time goes on. Thank you.